Cyber specialists of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, together with the Ukrainian Cyber Alliance and the BO Team Group, carried out a large-scale cyber attack on the Gaskar Integration company, one of the main suppliers of drones for the Russian army. Unian reported this, citing sources in Ukrainian intelligence. As a result of the cyber attack, Ukrainian special services managed not only to penetrate the company's critical infrastructure, but also to cause serious damage to it. More than 47 terabytes of technical information were completely destroyed, including 10 terabytes of backup copies. The cyber attack caused a complete technological collapse at the enterprise. The company lost access to the internet. All production and accounting programs stopped working, and the Gaskar Integration Development Center was completely paralyzed. All entrance doors at the plant were also blocked, forcing workers to leave through emergency exits. Among the stolen data are confidential questionnaires of the company's employees and, most importantly, complete technical documentation on the production of drones, which were transferred to the relevant specialists of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, the intelligence service noted. Throughout Russia's full-scale invasion, Ukraine and Russia have heavily invested in drone technology, revolutionizing warfare, including drones. Russian forces also launch hundreds of drones nearly every night at Ukraine, targeting civilian areas and critical infrastructure. Cyber attacks have been widely used by both Ukraine and Russia during the full-scale war. Russian hackers have regularly targeted various Ukrainian government institutions as well as businesses with crippling cyber attacks aimed at disrupting numerous industries and government services. Chinese companies are playing a vital role in enabling Russia's drone production, including supplying crucial components for the unmanned aerial vehicles Moscow uses in its nearly daily attacks on Ukraine, Bloomberg reports. According to the news outlet, 92% of the foreign parts found in Russian drones are of Chinese origin. These include electronics, cameras, engines, antennas, and navigation modules. A little-known Russian company, thousands of miles away, hatched a plan to partner with Chinese firms and solve one of the most urgent challenges faced by the invading army: the need for combat drones that were radically reshaping the battlefield. Bloomberg writes, citing internal memos from the Russian company Aero-Hit. The documents indicate the company has business ties with Russia's defense ministry and the military. Its drones, packed with Chinese-made components, have ended up on the battlefield and are being used against Ukraine.
Dozens of wounded people and dead bodies arrived at a hospital in Sweda province, Syria Tuesday following days of clashes between local militias and clans, government forces, and an Israeli strike. According to Associated Press, Israel's army said Monday it struck military tanks in southern Syria, where government forces and Bedouin tribes clashed with Druze militias in the latest escalation in the Middle East country struggling for stability after a 13-year civil war. Government security forces that were sent to restore order Monday also clashed with local armed groups. Syria's Interior Ministry has said more than 30 people have died and nearly 100 others have been injured. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a UK-based war monitor, reported at least 99 dead, including 2 children, 2 women and 14 members of the security forces. The clashes in Syria initially broke out between armed groups from the Druze and Sunni Bedouin clans, the observatory said, with some members of the government security forces actively participating in support of the Bedouins. Syrian Interior Ministry spokesperson Nuruddin al-Baba said government forces entered Sweda in the early morning to restore order. Some clashes occurred with outlawed armed groups, but our forces are doing their best to prevent any civilian casualties, he told the state-run Al-Akhbariyah TV. The Interior Ministry described the situation as a dangerous escalation that comes in the absence of the relevant official institutions, which has led to an exacerbation of the state of chaos, the deterioration of the security situation, and the inability of the local community to contain the situation. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said in a statement that the Israeli military attacked targets in Syria as a message and a clear warning to the Syrian regime: "We will not allow harm to the Druze in Syria." In Israel, the Druze are seen as a loyal minority and often serve in the armed forces. While many Druze in Syria have said they do not want Israel to intervene on their behalf, factions from the Druze minority have also been suspicious of the new authorities in Damascus after former President Bashar Assad fled the country in December during a rebel offensive led by Sunni Islamist insurgent groups. Syria's defense minister announced a ceasefire shortly after government forces entered a key city in Sweda province on Tuesday. According to Associated Press, the announcement came a day after sectarian clashes that killed dozens, and after Israel launched strikes in the area. Footage from Al Arabiya showed clashes in Sweda city on Tuesday with Syrian soldiers firing weapons before the ceasefire was announced. Defense Minister Mirhaf Abu Khazra said in a statement that after an agreement with the city's notables and dignitaries, we will respond only to the sources of fire and deal with any targeting by outlaw groups. The clashes began with a series of tit-for-tat kidnappings and attacks between members of local Sunni Bedouin tribes and Druze armed factions in the southern province, a center of the Druze community. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz said in a joint statement that Israel had struck to prevent the Syrian regime from harming the Druze and to ensure disarmament in the area adjacent to our borders with Syria. Syrian government security forces sent to restore order on Monday also clashed with Druze armed groups. During the day, Israel struck Syrian government military tank and said it was acting to protect the Druze religious minority. The Israeli army said in a statement that it had struck military vehicles belonging to the Syrian regime. In Israel, the Druze are seen as a loyal minority and often serve in the armed forces. State-run news agency Sana did not give any details about Tuesday's strike. However, the Britain-based war monitor the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said Israel struck a tank belonging to the Syrian military as forces began to move in deeper into Sweda city.